communication, connectivity is everything. We ensure that the links never sleep. Quantities and qualities, all in our data service, providing efficient, reliable voice and data service. We believe if you're not up to speed, then you're going backwards. Communications have to flow as fast as the speed of light. Whatever business you're in, having someone who understands your needs is critical. That is why we just don't offer you technology, we offer you solutions. Enjoy Gamcel's internet broadband anytime, anywhere. Your national operator, Gamcel, Yaibaram.
All right.
Honey, did you remind him that the last time he sent the money, it was not enough to buy all the provisions?
Oh, sorry, I forgot to tell him.
Are you guys talking about money transfer to buy provisions?
Yes.
But don't you know about Baluwo?
Baluwo? What is Baluwo?
Baluwo is a service that your son can use to send provisions directly to you guys from the shop. And you don't have to worry about the exchange rate.
Tell me how Baluwo works.
It's very simple.
Just log on to baluwo.com and shop, or download the app on your phone. You can shop on the website or using the app to buy online basic products for your family and friends. With Baluwo, you decide what your money is spent on. Your money, your choice. Buy online products for your family and friends in the Gambia, Senegal, Nigeria or Mali. Baluwo, better than sending money.
Are you thinking of owning your dream homes? EJ Investment is here for you. Secure our quality bungalows with 2, 3 or 4 bedrooms, or our story buildings 3 or 4 to 5 bedrooms at very affordable prices with flexible payment plans at our Sanyang Seaview Estate, where you can enjoy the cool breeze with modern infrastructure such as tar roads, covered drainage system, modern electrification with street lights, gated entrance with security posts, and social amenities such as gas station, shopping mall, medical clinic, park, schools, children daycare, and a lot more. Our dedicated team of professionals will keep the estate clean at all times, provide security and patrol team within the estate premises, install latest technologies such as CCTV, Wi-Fi, home network installation, solar panel, and power backup system. Also, check out for our additional home facilities and interior design service such as premium tiling, wall plaster, home landscape, fingerprint home lock, and a lot more. Visit our office at Senegambia Kololi Highway and get a free site visit tour, or contact us on 4464-838. WhatsApp us on 3259220. Or you can visit our Facebook page or Instagram on EJ Investments. EJ Investments, we are first in properties.
Thank you, Chair. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Rahmanirrahim Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdina as-siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim ghairil maghdubi 'alaihim waladdallin. Alhamdulillahi hadina li hadha wa ma kunna linahtadi لولا أن هادينا الله الأول الآخر والزاخر والباطن يا ربنا لك الحمد يا ربنا لك الحمد كما ينبغي وجلال وجهك وعظيم سلطانك وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد خاتم النبيين وإمام المرسلين ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين الحمد لله رب العالمين آمين.
Amin. Shukran, Imam Jallo. Bishop, you have the floor, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Lord God of power and might, the Creator, the Sustainer, and the Protector and preserver of all humankind that you have created and made in your image and in your likeness, and you have planted in every nation of the world. We continue to submit ourselves unreservedly, asking that by your Holy Spirit's power, that you will mold all of our hearts, grant us a heart of patience, a heart of love, a heart of sympathy, a heart of empathy, and a heart of kindness towards each and every human person in this universe. As we continue TRRC sitting this morning, we continue to present to you the witness, Lord, and we continue to ask by the Holy Spirit's power, you will grant him the enablement to speak boldly the truth. Grant the commission, the discerning spirit to discern between truth and falsehood. Grant the populace, the diaspora, and the international community as well. Grant them a greater patience to exercise in order to see that the due process is taken care of. This we ask through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Bishop Odiko. Council, I believe we're continuing with the witness from yesterday. If we are and you're ready, please proceed.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Usher, can you kindly bring in the witness?
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Taal.
Good morning, Council Singate.
And welcome back.
Thank you. Good morning to the Chairman, Vice Chairman, and members of the Commission. Staff.
Just before we start, I wish to remind you that you're still on the oath. And as such, you are required to tell the truth and nothing but the truth.
Thank you very much. And I think I also have to be reminded of the fact that it's a criminal offense not to tell the truth.
Well, I believe that as counsel, you already know that.
Well, I'm still a witness, so. But I take note.
You already know that. So,
very well.
Thank you very much. Yesterday, we dealt with several issues extensively. We dealt with harassment of lawyers by the executive, some of the excesses of the judiciary, in particular during Justice Ajim's tenure.
Demba waxtaanee nañ bunta yu yaatu surtout nag li nga xam ne njiit yi ci réew mi ñu ngi dugal seen gémmiñ ci doxalinu liggéey àttekat wi ak it jamonoy Justice Ajim.
We've also discussed issues of judicial interference and manipulation by the executive.
Wax nañ tamit li nga xam ne ñii di njiiti réew mi mu ngi dugal gémmiñam ci doxalini àttekat yi ak li nga xam ne noonu lay jaxasee seeni mbir.
And we discussed the intervention of the bar in some of these issues.
Wax nañ nag ñi nga xam ne ñoo di lawyer ñi nga xam ne ñoom tamit ñu ngi dugal seeni taxawaay ci yenn ci mbir yi nii.
And the outcome thereafter.
Ak it gannaaw bi li nga xam ne moo ci faaxee ko.
For today, we have the following pending issues. We'll discuss your civil cases, the civil cases that you were involved in that were politically motivated cases. My apologies, cases, not criminal cases, not civil cases. Then we'll discuss the excesses of the judiciary during Justice Fakbele's tenure. The role of the bar in the 2016 election. And your activism during the 2016 period that gave birth to Gambia Has Decided.
2016 jamono ji nga xamé wécci nañ nguur gi wone né Gambia has decided.
So let's start with the cases that you were personally involved with that were politically motivated persecution.
Légui nak ñu commencé ci case yi nga xamné yow bokkon nga ci muy mbiri tafar yo xamné ay mbiri politique moko lalu.
Thank you very much.
Jerejef.
The first case that I would like to speak about
case bu ñak bi ma bëgga waxtané moy
was the state versus Maimouna Taal.
Moy nak digante nguur gi ak Maimouna Taal,
who was the former Director General of Gambia Civil Aviation.
Nga xamné ni mo nekkon ki jité buntu liggéey kay bi saytu mbiri tukim jaww ji Gambia Civil Aviation.
I would like to put on record that she is my first cousin.
Dana wax xamal nit ñi rek né suma doomi baay la.
And for that reason I was junior counsel to Mr. Antuman Gay.
Ci walu wo nak ma nekkon counsel bu ndaw bi ci Antuman Gay.
Basically, Maimouna was appointed DG.
Maimouna nak falon nañ ko DG.
And during her tenure,
ci jamonoom nak
she brought a lot of changes in the civil aviation.
Dalde won na indi ay wécceku yu bari ci civil aviation bi.
And at the time,
ci jamono bobu,
there was a project called the Airport Improvement Project.
Amon na project bo xam ñu ko ekati won ngir gëna taral airport bi.
And including extending the runway.
Bobu nak dalde bokk na ci na ngir yaatal runway yi.
And was funded by the Kuwaiti Fund.
Te temen kees yi Kuwait gi moko don dépasse.
And one of the local contractors,
kenn tak ci contractor yi fi ci réew mi,
was a Kuwaiti company.
Company Kuwait la.
A Kuwaiti-owned company.
Company go xamne wa Kuwait ñoko mom.
But registered in the Gambia.
Waaye nak dañ ko bindu won fi ci biir réewi Gambia.
By the name of M.A. Harafi.
Ñu xamé ko M.A. Harafi.
And it appears that the president had a vested interest
mu melni president bi dal amon na aajo bo xamne ni xenci won nako ci
in that contract.
Ci contract bobu nonu.
Because at some point,
ndax ci amna yenn jamono,
Maimouna Taal informed me,
Maimouna Taal yegalon na ma ne,
he was asked to make a $3 million penalty payment.
Ne dañ ko sason nak pour nak mu tek fine criminal $1 million bo xamne dem ci fukki million $.
To M.A. Harafi.
Ci kaw M.A. Harafi.
Which didn't make sense to her.
Nga xamne dal gis na ne dal amul dayo nona solo.
And what was actually bizarre,
li ci gënon na doy war sax moy,
was that this payment
pay gi
was being pursued
dañ ko topone
by the client,
di client bi ci bopam.
that is the government.
Nga xamne ni nguur gi la.
That's the Minister of Finance,
the ministry bi saytu wali caisse yi nguur gi.
Minister of Works at the time.
Ministry bi saytu wàlli liggéey bi.
And Office of the President.
Ak Office President bi.
They put a lot of pressure on her to pay.
Ci dal di woon ko teg pressure bu am doole ci kawam.
And in her own mind,
ci xelam.
First of all, the civil aviation doesn't have that kind of money.
Ci njëlbeen civil aviation bi amuñ xaalis boobu.
And she didn't think it was a legitimate payment.
Tey tamit nag ci la gis ne daal duut pay goo xam ne ni wér na.
So she was warned.
ñu dal di ko dénku.
At the highest possible level.
Ci kaw nag nu mu gën a kawee.
Through an emissary was sent.
Waaw am na ndaw lu ñu yónni.
A businessman was sent to her.
Am na ku ñu yónni ci moom.
Warn her that.
Mu dal di ko dénku bu baax.
The president is saying that you're becoming very stubborn nowadays.
Ne président bi ne mu ne fi mu nekk nii nag yaa ngi nekk ku xatalul ak fi mu nekk nii.
And nothing at that point, nothing came out of it.
Ci loolu na dara génnu ci tamit.
But he kept me in the loop. He told me, Sal. He calls me Sal. I'm actually named after her dad. He said, hey, I've already started packing my stuff. I'm copying all the documents in this office. We copied them and put them on Dropbox and had everything we had a duplicate.
And wax na ne fi mu nekk na maa ngi sottandeku kayit yi nekk fi yëpp fi mu nekk nii.
Anytime I know I could be arrested or fired.
Te tamit waxtu wu ne daal fi mu nekk nii mun nañ ma fee dàq wala ñu jàpp ma.
Because the president is not having his way with me.
Ndax président bi daal jamono ji neexoo su ma mbir.
Then secondly,
ñaareel bi.
There was an airline.
Amoon na benn buntu tukkeekaay airline.
A dubious airline, I think from Sudan.
Am na di jóge ko Sudan.
That wanted applied for an AOC license.
Ñu doon lijjanti ab license.
That's air operating certificate.
Pour na ñuy mun a naawee fii wala di fi dale.
But they did not meet the safety requirements.
Waaye nag ñoom li nga xam ne lu lañ sàkku ci wàlli kaaraange motalu ñoon ko.
So Salieu Taal declined the application.
Ci la Salieu Taal nag bañ liñ bindu woon.
And this airline was supposed to be taking Gambians to Hajj.
Te nag di airline boo xam ne nii pour Gambian yi pour ñu dem aji Makka.
And she also got a lot of pressure from the State House to give this airline a license.
Te tamit nag ci kaw loolu nag ñu mu jóg am pression bu am doole ci State House pour mu joxe license.
Against the ICAO safety requirements.
Ci loo xam ne daal féewaloo na ak liñ sàkku ci wàlli kaaraange plane yi.
And she still held her ground.
Te ba tey rek mu dal di jàpp fa mu jàppoon.
So as a family, we knew that it was a matter of time.
Tey tamit nag ñun nag ñu gis rek ne mu ngi aju rek ci waxtu.
And then sometime in 2005,
ci atum 2005,
she was sacked.
ñu dal di ko dàq.
Unceremoniously.
Ci anam goo xam ne daal rafetut.
They basically, NIA came to her office.
NIA ñu ñëw ci office am.
And basically gave her a letter.
Dal di ko jox letter.
And asked her to hand over.
Ne daal na dal di jébbale place bi.
But she was a very tough woman.
Nekk na nag jigéen joo xam ne ni jigéen ju jàmbaar la.
Yeah, she was a tough woman. She had prepared everything.
Moom nag waajaloon na yépp.
She was just waiting for them.
Mu ngi leen doon xaar rek.
Not only that, every single document she signed, she kept a copy, and also I kept a copy as cousin and lawyer.
Kayit boo xam ne ni nag signé woon na ko dal dina ko sottandeku am benn ma amee benn ni doomi baayam la moom mu amee benn.
And she was detained at the NIA.
Ñu dal di ko téye nag benn place NIA.
And for quite a while, I think, I can't remember, but at least for more than a week.
Daal dem na ba lu weesu benn bés bu ay.
And then she was charged with 7 counts of economic crime.
Ñu dal di ko teg tuuma lu dem ci juróom-ñaari buntu ne daal dafa kasaara koppar.
And what were these charges based on?
Tey nag ci tuuma yoo fi ñu ko sesoon mooy.
She was charged with repairing and renovating the residence of the DG and the staff quarters in contraventions of the GPPA rules.
Ne daal daf doon defaraat nag place yi DG bi ak nekkuwaay ñenn te loolu dëppawut ak seen yoon.
And so basically, they said that she spent about $1 million to renovate the DG's residence, and they allege that she broke the contract into 3 lots, thereby circumventing the need for approval from GPPA.
ñu ne daal dafa dem ba nga xam ne dem na ba million ak dara ne moom la defaraat yooyu noonu.
And they claim that her action caused significant losses to the economy of the Gambia.
te ñu wax nag ne lim def noonu daal dina kasaara ay millions yu bari ci koom-koomi Gambia.
Yeah, and so we were in court, Mr. Gay and I, Mr. Antuman Gay and I.
ñu dem na ci court bi man ak Mr. Antuman Gay.
And for 2 years.
ñu dem ci diiram ñaari at.
Of her life.
ci dundam.
GPPA never came to court to testify.
waa GPPA nag mosu ñoo ñëw foofu pour dal di gaaral seen seede ci court bi.
They were not even in the picture.
ñoom sax yëguñu woon ko.
And all the instructions came directly from State House to Ministry of Justice.
ndigal yëpp mu ngi tukkee na ci State House ci ministre jëm nag ci ministre bi saytu wàlli loi ak àtte.
Every witness they called from civil aviation.
mboolem seede buñ oowee ci civil aviation.
Starting with the chairman.
commencé ko ci chairman bi.
Confirmed that.
wéral ne.
all those procurements.
ne liñ jënd noonu yëpp.
were done.
ñu ngi ko def.
through a procurement committee.
ci committee boo xam ne ñoo saytu wàlli jëndam jumtuwaay.
in accordance with the GPPA Act.
nga xam ne ni dëppoo na ak sarta yi taxawal GPPA.
and also.
ak itamit.
endorsed and approved by the board.
nangu ko yéwénal ko nag di board bi.
and all these documents were submitted to the court.
kayit yi yëpp ñu dal di ko àggale ci court bi.
The star witness at the time
ñi nga xam ne ñooy doon seede yi gën a fës.
was the head of procurement, was head of the contracts committee.
mooy ki nga xam ne nii moo jiite woon committee bi saytu wàlli contract.
And they had called him in and coached him.
dañ ko oon dal di ko yeetal.
His name is Kabiru Jammeh.
moom mu ngi tudd Kabiru Jammeh.
And they sort of fed him a lot of information to testify against Maimouna Taal and told him what to say and the rest of it.
ñu yeetal ko ay bataaxel yu bari yoo xam ne ni moom la war a wax loo xam ne ni dana gën a dugal Maimouna Taal ñu yeetal ko ko.
And bearing in mind, Kabiru is the chair of the contracts committee that actually approved those contracts.
te Kabir mooy chairman ni committee bi saytu wàlli contract bi te ñoo ko nangu woon.
So when Kabiru came to court,
Kabiru nag bi mu ñëwee ci court bi.
to the dismay of the state,
ci state bi.
he spoke the truth.
mu wax dëgg ji.
He said exactly what happened.
mu wax li nga xam ne moo xew.
That in fact, Maimouna Taal was not even part of the contract committee.
Maimouna Taal sax bokkutoon ci committee bi saytu woon wàlli contract.
The contracts committee, as duly constituted,
contract committee bi nag ñi ko sosoon mooy.
decided to split the contract into 3 lots.
ñoom ñoo indi woon nag pour dal di ko dog ñetti dog.
And repaired the DG's residence.
jagala nag nekkuwaay DG bi.
and the staff quarters.
ak ñi fay liggéeyee.
I'm spending a little over $1 million.
ñu dépasse lu weesu $1 million.
But in fact,
tamit sax de.
the works that were undertaken.
liggéey bi nga xam ne moom lañ doon def.
increase the value.
yokku nag ni meloon.
of the assets of civil aviation.
di alal ji nga xam ne ni moom la civil aviation am.
And what was the outcome of the case after the star witness testified in favor of Maimouna Taal?
Case bi nag naka la mujjee gannaaw seede boobu nga xam ne moom lañ indi woon bi mu waxee seedeem dafa faral Maimouna Taal.
If you allow me, this one point I want to make about the reason sorry, I may be a bit long-winded, but excuse me, I just want to explain something. About this Kabiru, in particular. So after Kabiru testified, he was arrested. Taken to the AG's chambers. And the AG was Sheikh Tijan Haidara. And he was threatened. There was an NIA officer, Sheikh Tijan Haidara, and I can't remember the prosecutor. But this is a witness who testified in court. And because his testimony was truthful and not in line with what the state wanted, they yanked him to the AG's chambers with the NIA, threatened him, and said that they were going to charge him with giving false information.
moom nag seede la boo xam ne dafa ñëwoon rek wax lii dëgg ñu dal di ko jàpp yóbbu ko ci Aegis Chamber dal di ko xupp ne ko dañ la tuumaa yooyu tamit ne da nga wax loo xam ne nekkul dëgg.
It's another example of state overreaching.
lii nag mooy misaal bi nga xam ne nii nguur gi ñu ngi ko daan def lu jéggi dayoo.
Two takeaways from this.
jël nag ñaari boor.
Coaching a witness, telling a witness to lie on the oath during the case.
di yeetal nag ab seede di ko wax na mu fen wax loo xam ne du dëgg ci te jamono boobu mu ngi waat.
As opposed to stating the facts as they are.
di wax nag li nga xam ne nii moom lañ bugg ne mu wax ko ne mooy dëgg.
You also have honest Gambians.
waaye nag am nañ ay Gambien yoo xam ne nii yu jub lañ.
This Kabiru risked losing his job.
Kabiru bi nag bañu toon sax ñàkk liggéeyam.
He risked being charged and imprisoned.
bañu tax ñu jàpp ko yóbbu ko téye ko.
Yet he spoke truth to power.
ba léegi rek wax na dëgg.
Have an attorney general.
nga am attorney general.
I mean, be part of a process.
bokk nag ci anam goo xam ne.
Threatening a witness.
di xupp nag ab seede.
Really, it baffles me.
nekk na loo xam ne daal doy na waar.
Fast forward to the case.
li jëm seg si case boobu.
Case was presided over by Justin Monahan.
di mbir moo xam ne ki ko doon atte mooy Justice Monahan.
Who eventually acquitted and discharged Maimouna Taal.
mu jéegi sax daal mu ewi Maimouna Taal.
And we had a tip-off.
ci lañ jot nag benn xibaar.
There was a plan to arrest her.
ne am na pexe muñ defoon na pour jàppaat ko.
Can I continue? So after we made a plan.
ci lañ def benn pexe.
After her acquittal.
gannaaw buñ ko bàyyee.
So we had two different cars. Her dad's car went towards the direction of her house.
am na ñaari oto benn oto baayam bi jëm ca fi mu dëkk.
And we put her in a taxi.
ñu dugal ko ci taxi.
So she went to her grandmother's house in Lancaster.
mu dem nag ci këri maamam ci Lancaster.
Stayed there for like an hour.
mu toog fa lu dem ci diira benn waxtu.
Then we got her to terminal.
ñu dal di ko yóbbu terminal.
Took one of these canoes.
ñu dugal ko ci gaal yu ndaw yi.
Crossed to Bara.
ñu jàll dem Bara.
And went around the border.
ñu dal di dem ci frontière bi ci border bi.
Had a family member pick her up and took her to Dakar.
ñu am kenn ci suñ mbokk yi ku ko jël yóbbu ko Dakar.
I think later on that day.
ci bés boobu.
They came to the house looking for her.
ñu ñëw ci kër gi di ko seet.
She would have been arrested.
suñ ko gisoon na dañ ko doon jàppale.
Of course, she went on to live abroad, and now is top international advisor with ICAO in Montreal.
fi mu nekk nii nag mu ngi liggéey feneen.
You've actually raised two important issues here.
That
is with respect to the Ministry of Justice. You intimated that the Ministry of Justice were involved in coaching witnesses for this particular case. Because of the political interest in this case. And also the Attorney General and some officers of the NIA were also involved in threatening a witness that spoke the truth in court. Was this in fact the first time wherein the Ministry of Justice had used their office to persecute Gambians in court?
ndax bi mooy njëlbeen yoon nag liggéeykat ministre bi saytu wàllu atte bi ñuy jëfoo seen office nag pour noot waa Gambie ci court bi.
I mean, it's definitely not the first time. I mean, it was systematic.
nii nag nekkul njëlbeen yoon bi lii nekk na loo xam ne dañ ko jikkoo.
Every time the express that wants to deal with an opponent or someone considered a threat to his political power or economic power.
Koo xam ne nii nag gis na président bi mu ngi doon jëflante moom mu gis ne kooka daal ku doon teg tànkam la ci loo xam ne mu ngi aju ci wàlli koom-koomam ci wàlli politique wala ci koom-koomam.
One of the instruments that he used routinely
yenn ci place yi nga xam ne nii njëfandaay bi mu daan jëfoo daal ci luy bari.
was the Minister of Justice.
mooy buntu attekaay bi ministre bi saytu wàlli atte bi ci réew mi.
In fact, we used to joke about it and call it Minister of Injustice.
ñun sax léegi ñu koy kafe ne Minister of Injustice ministre bi saytu wàlli ñàkk luwa.
Because they did a lot of injustice to Gambian people.
ndax def nañ ay ñàkk luwa jubadi yu bari ci kaw Gambien yi.
As instruments of oppression and persecution.
di jëfandaay boo xam ne jëfandaay noteel la.
They were very pliant.
nekk nañ ñoo xam ne
they would look at every possible way of making the law serve the purpose of what Jammeh wanted.
toujours rek dañuy jéem a def nag li nga xam ne nii mooy jëfoo loi bi pour li Jammeh bëgg.
We have received a testimony from the former Solicitor General
Solicitor General
who testified that oftentimes during the Jammeh regime crimes such as economic crime, abuse of office, giving false information to a public officer, were used as a weapon against Jammeh opponents. You have also used the strong, very strong language in addressing the status quo of the Ministry of Justice at that time. You said the ministry was used as an instrument of injustice and oppression. Was this a sentiment that was shared among lawyers?
I mean, this is not only a sentiment, it's a fact. Born out by the experience. Gambians felt the brunt of this. Journalists felt it. Civil society activists felt it. I mean, all those false information charges, all those charges of sedition, I mean, economic crimes. I mean, you can go on and on. Even the preposterous, burdensome bail conditions given to suspects who are supposed to be presumed to be innocent and found guilty.
tuuma yooyu nga xam ne nii wax nañ ko mooy tuuma ne nit dafa wax lu dul dëgg ak nit suxal.
The system of carting you to a court, knowing that that court doesn't have jurisdiction. They know it. That if I take you to this court on Friday, there's no jurisdiction. You will go to mile 2, and then the judiciary in courts will, either the judiciary or the police, will take their time to move that file to Aegis chambers, who have to write an opinion. They'll take their time to write an opinion, whether to prosecute or not to prosecute.
lii nag nekk na jamono boo xam ne nii ci jumtuwaay boobu lañ def ko ci waxtu woo xam ne léegi su fekkee aljuma la mu leer na ne court boobu mënta uyu nag atte boobu ñu dal di ko toxal yow nga nekk rek ci kaso bu ko defee ñu dal di àggale kayit yooyu pour sàkku ndigal ci Aegis Chamber mu jël waxtu ñoom it balaa ñu lay jox ndigal na dañ la war a atte wala duñ ko war a atte.
So essentially, the legal opinions depend on what Jammeh wanted.
kon nag dafa mel ni sax li nga xam ne nii moo nekkoon dogaluwaay ñi nga xam ñoo nekkoon ci wàlli atte bi mooy li yaa Jammeh bëggoon rek.
Suppose what the law is.
nga xam ne mu ngi mel ni li nga xam ne loolu la nga xam ne wute naag li nga xam ne loolu la luwaa gis.
In this case as well, you mentioned the direct involvement of the Attorney General in threatening a witness.
ci kaw loolu tam wax nga fi Attorney General ne moom dafa bokk ci ñi nga xam ne ñoo di xuppa seede yi.
This information I have directly from the witness, and I can give you his name. You can call him. He can come here and say it himself.
lii nag nekk na xibaar boo xam ne nii ci seede bi ci boppam laa ko jële mën naa leen a jox turam ak nombam ngeen téléphone ko mu ñëw fii mu wax.
And the Attorney General is supposed to be a person that upholds the law and advises the government on legalities, not so?
Attorney General moom nit la koo xam ne dafa war a doxee lépp lu aju ci wàlli luwa te moo war a yedda nguur gi ci anam yoo xam ne dañoo sukkandiku ci luwa.
Supposedly, yes.
Wow.
And I just, in fact, you cast my, I just recalled something I missed out yesterday.
Fàttali nga ma loo xam ne nii sax de fàtte woon naa ko démb.
Excuse my frankness, I just say it as it is.
We appreciate that.
Antuman Gay's prosecution.
Atep Antuman Gay.
I mean his prosecution and by the state and his imprisonment by Justice Paul.
Atem binko ate on di nguur gi ak niñ ko tëjee on di Justice Paul.
There's a background story that I have to tell you.
And
this story, I learned of it later on. And this story was told to me by a minister who was a sitting minister in Jammeh's government, who happens to be a family member. I write down his name. When Jammeh, whenever he came back from a foreign trip, the entire top brass would queue from the general to everybody would queue. Ministers, even Chief Justice in those days.
Chief Justice
to pay homage to him. Because actually, if he didn't come, and he notices, if you actually did not come, you'll be in trouble. That was the system. So basically, I was informed that when Jammeh came down, he was greeting all the ministers. He was greeting all the ministers. He came to Tijan Haidara. He refused to greet him. Because Jammeh, apparently, if he's mad with you, he cannot hide it. He will show you his dismay or disgust.
One place.
So Jammeh came up to him, and this was told, the person who told me was actually on that line. So Jammeh came up to him and told him, when he reached out to Jammeh, Jammeh just sort of like snapped him. And he was visibly like worried because in those days, when Jammeh is upset with you, you cannot determine what the consequence would be. And he said, you're not doing your job. I told you I want you to lock up Antuman Gay and somebody else, I forgot the person's name. Make sure you lock him up. And that's when the ball started rolling. I want to put that on record.
And according to you, that's what set the pace for the prosecution of Antuman Gay?
Yes.
And this was under the same minister, Sheikh Tijan Haidara?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Can you just tell us about some of the interference of the Office of the Attorney General in the prosecution of politically motivated cases?
Attorney General ni mo dugale gémmiñam ci ay case yoo xam ne daal mbiri politique moo ko lal.
Yes, I was involved as one of my first cases as a lawyer, private lawyer.
Case you nga xamne moy jamono bi nga xam ma ngi nek lawyer, private lawyer.
It was a German guy who bought a huge piece of land in Tranquil.
di benn doomi jaamaan boo xam ne ni dafa jënd pàkk bu yaatu ci Tranquille.
In 1991.
ci atum 1991.
Fenced it.
mu dal di ko fence.
And leased it.
dal di ko lease.
And allowed the locals to farm on it.
te tamit bàyyi na nii ñu nekk di ci bay.
Around sometime in 97.
ci yenn jamono 97.
The alcalo of Bijulo and 5 other agents.
Alcalo bu Bijulo ak yeneen juróomi agent.
Demarcated the land into 22 plots.
ñu dal di dog nag jàtti joo ci ñaar fukki plot ak ñaar.
And sold it to different people.
ñu jaay ko ay nit.
So I was his lawyer.
maa nekkoon lawyer am bi.
So I filed a suit.
ma dal di def benn kalaame.
Get possession and evict the trespassers.
pour nag ñu dal di àtte nag ñi nga xam ne ñoo ko def.
One of those trespassers.
kenn nag ci ñi nga xam ne nii ñoo def loolu.
Was a Dutch guy.
waa doomi Dutch la.
And his lawyer.
lawyer am bi.
Was Lamin Jobate.
Lamin Jobate la woon.
I think commonly known as Babanding.
ñu xam gën koo xamee Babanding.
I recall, and so I wrote to all the, before I even filed my suit, I wrote to all the trespassers.
ci balaa may àggale na suma.
To give them notice.
tawat boobu nag dama bind nag ci ñëpp ñi nga xam ne ñoo ko def.
Is Babanding that you're referring to?
Kan mooy Babanding mi nga wax ni?
Lamin Jobate.
Lamin Jobate.
Was he one time Minister of Justice?
Yes. He became, I'll get to that. At the time, he was a private legal practitioner. I remember, so he called me to a meeting. We met at Baobab Lodge. With my client, Band George Diedrich, German. And his agent, Aliu Bari. So I told him my client has a lease. He said, can I see it? We took out a lease. Original document, looked at it, checked it out. Showed him receipts of land rent paid up to date. He said, okay, I'm not going to fight this case. There's no point. But my client has already built a story building here. So I agreed, let's value the land and you pay off and we forget about the issue as far as you're concerned. He agreed. We went to court. And so he never participated in the court proceedings. We went to court with everybody else, including his defendants, including his client. With the understanding that when we have judgment, we will settle. That was understanding. So when we had, by the time we had judgment, he became Attorney General. And everything changed. We had judgment. We went to execute. And some of the judgment debtors settled. One of them was Mohamed Silla. He settled through his lawyer Ida Drame. So he paid my client agreed amount. And can you believe Mr. Jobate?
Mr. Jobate
orchestrated the arrest, charge, detention, and deportation of my client. He claimed that my client did not pay tax, capital gains tax on that settlement. He got my client first detained at Bruceby station.
Police station.
At the time I was working with my senior Mr. Mene. I brought him in because the case was very hot and very contentious. That's lawyer Chris Mene.
di lawyer bu ñu xamee Chris Mene.
So I decided to go to the Bruceby police station.
Ma dem nag si Bruceby police station bi.
I asked one of my colleagues, Omar Jawara, who's a friend and a lawyer, to accompany me.
Kenn suma xarit lawyer la Omar Jawara mu ànd ak man.
When I went there,
bi ma fa demee.
The police told me I will not meet the client.
ci lañ ma wax ne du ma gisante ak suma client bi.
Was behind bars.
Ndax boobu mu ngi si kaso ñu ngi ko téye.
Then Babanding calls.
Babanding na call.
Tells them arrest any lawyer who comes here.
ci la wax ne jàpp leen lawyer bu fa ñëw rek téye leen ko.
And he actually threatened me.
tey tamit nag ci la ma doon tikku.
Threatened me. I should, if I know what's good for me, I should leave this case.
ci la ma wax nag ne bu fekkee ne xam naa lu gën ci man naa génn si case boobu.
And did he tell you this personally?
Yes.
te moom moo la ko wax ni jaxaran.
On the phone, he told me.
ci téléphone.
I mean, if you see, I will tell him in his face. He told me.
loolu la ma wax.
I mean, and Mr. Mene was also threatened.
Mr. Mene tamit ñu dal di ko tikku.
If he came, he would tell you.
su fi ñëwee dana la ko wax.
By the same Babanding.
Babanding ci boppam.
Because he had so much control over the police, because he was an ex-security person.
ndax moom ku doon yëngu ci wàlli kaaraange la.
Police, NIA, he got it all locked down. He controlled.
dafa control ñëpp policier ak NIA yëpp.
In the end, my client was taken to mile 2.
mu jéegi suma client bi ñóbbu ko mile 2.
Imagine you own your property, you invest in a country, you bought your property.
nga jënd sa def sa xaalis si réew jënd sa.
stole your property.
ñu nangu sa ñu sàcc ko.
You ended up being locked up.
nga mujjee ñu tëj la.
And they were saying, oh, this guy is a tubab. I said, tubabs don't have rights.
ñu laa wane ay kii tubaab la kanaa tubaab amul yelleef.
Locked up. This guy he's a psychiatrist, a very reputable psychiatrist in Germany.
nekk na ni koo xam ne nii.
Highly educated.
ku am xam-xam la ci jamono.
High net worth individual.
waaw ku am
Put him in
jokkoo.
mile 2 with this Salieu Taal. And then they bundled him and deported him out of this country.
ñu dal di ko jàpp yóbbu delloo ko réewam.
I would like to exhibit the article that actually carried the story.
dama bëgg a teewal fii nag li nga xam ne nii mooy xibaar yi nga xam ne nii moo wax mbiram.
With the permission of the chair.
ci ndigalu chairman bi.
You're saying that the Attorney General at that time, Mr. Babanding Jobate,
Attorney General Babanding Jobate
used his office as if it was his private office to fight a civil matter
yes.
in which he was involved in while he was a private practitioner. And he used state resources to enforce it.
That is correct. I'll find it. That is correct. And it didn't even stop there. I'm sure most of you remember that recording that led to the imprisonment of Justice Wowo and co.
boo fàttale ko record boobu ñu recordé ba nga xam ne ni Justice Wowo ci lañ ko jàppoon ak ñeneen.
Please give us a brief background about it.
So basically, sitting Minister of Justice.
mooy Minister bi Justice bi toog si siis bi jamono boobu.
Summons Justice Wowo.
Or Justice Wowo.
My client and his attorney.
suma client bi ak lawyer bi.
And Mr. Mene, who's a lawyer who was now handling the case, I stepped back.
Mr. Mene mi nga xam ne ni moo mujjee woon téye mbir mi gannaaw boo xam ne ma dellu naa gannaaw.
A fourth lawyer, Nigerian lawyer.
ak ñeenteel bi di benn doomi Nigerian di lawyer.
And they met at Jobate's house.
ñu dal di tasee si néegi ke Jobaate ba këram.
This is a matter that actually was in the Court of Appeal at the time because the judgment that was appealed, the High Court judgment.
lii na nekk na jamono boo xam ne nii ñu ko doon d'appel ci
And
court
at that
d'appel.
point in time,
te ci jamono boobu.
Justice Wowo was president of the Court of Appeal.
te jamono Justice Wowo moo nekkoon président yi Court of Appeal bi.
You know that. They met.
ñu tase.
And discussed.
di waxtaan.
And Mr. Jobate basically was telling
Mr. Jobate boobu ngay wax Mene.
tell his client to accept 1 million.
Pour mu nangu.
That 1 million you've been hearing that in that tape.
Waaw mu nangoo jël benn 1 million dalasi.
Because that probably is worth way more than that. At that point in time, my client was like, I'm not going. Before my client was happy to take 1 million, but when it went that far, he said no. I will only take the market value.
Ci la wax na bo suma client mi nangoo tut ko.
So, Mr. Justice, Minister of Justice at the time,
ki nga xam ne Minister of Justice jamono boobu ba léegi de.
who is also the lawyer of this Dutch guy, I think his name is Andre.
Nga xam ne nii moom mooy lawyer Dutch boobu noonu Andre.
Was putting pressure on my client.
Mu ngi teg note suma kaw client bi.
Accept a settlement of 1 million.
Pour mu nangu nag lu dem ci benn million dalasi.
And he said, you know, the judge is here. He's already seen the file, and just so there's a recording. I'll give it to you.
Mu ne ko xam sa judge bi xam nga gis na file bi.
Just said.
Justice wo wax ne.
Well, I've already seen the file. You're better off settling.
Man gis na file ba pare kana lu do nga settle ko rek.
But little did they know that.
Xamuñ woon ne.
My client had a recorder.
Time boobu suma client mu ngi amee recorder.
And that was a recording that went viral.
Boy record boobu nga xam ne nii mu ngi tasaaroo woon ci jaww ji.
But for the record.
waaye pour nag ñu leeral.
They were not trying to bribe Justice Wowo.
nekku ñoon dañ doon fexe pour dukku nag Justice Wowo de.
What was wrong about it was not about the bribery. It's about the presence at that meeting.
Li fa nekkoon lu ñaaw nekkul pour bribe bi rek pour dukku ko de waaye teewaayam ci meeting boobu la woon.
And this was a matter that was sub judice before Justice Wowo.
Yes.
And
he had a meeting outside the court with Mr. Mene.
Te am na waxtaan ci gannaaw court bi Mr. Mene.
The client, Mr. Mene accompanied his client. He was asked to come by a client.
Mr. Mene na mu ngi àndoon ak clientam bi.
And the client's attorney Aliou Barry.
Ak clientam moom Aliou Barry.
They were called by Mr. Jobate, and he went there with the view that they want to settle something. And then
ñu dem nag pour seet ne comme na dafa am lu ñuy waxtaanee.
He found Justice Wowo was there.
ñu gis ne Justice Wowo mu ngi fa woon.
So, if you look at one of the petitions I submitted.
benn nag ci tawat yi ma àggale.
During the time Lubna was president.
jamono bi nga xam ne Lubna moo nekkoon président bi.
Was actually a complaint against the people who attended that meeting.
nekk na nag tawat boo xam ne mu ngi jëm ci nit ñi nga xam ne ñoo teewoon ci meeting boobu.
I mean, I can also, I have some documents I think I can.
I have, is it the petition that has Mr. Mbouch, Mene, and other lawyers?
Exactly.
We'll submit it later before
exactly.
the commission.
Exactly. So basically, I mean, in the end, I mean, Justice Wowo ended up being fired. That audio went to the President Jammeh. Then he fired and locked up Justice Wowo. I think also the Minister of Justice also, I think, took a fall.
Minister of Justice Loruti.
Even though I don't think the way the President fired was constitutional. Because there's a way there's a way that judges are disciplined. And he did not follow the procedure. He just fired him and sent him to mile 2. Just like Justice Wowo did for others. I'm not encouraging that. I mean, I think everybody deserves due process. I think he deserved due process and he didn't get it.
And the hiring and firing of judges is actually stipulated in the Constitution.
Yes.
Which was not followed by the president in this instance. A total disregard for the Constitution in this case as well. Even though the conduct of Justice Wowo was also quite unethical.
Yeah, it fell short of standards. I think it was a disciplinary matter. But I didn't think it warranted his imprisonment. In fact, he took Gambia to the ECOWAS court and won his case.
mu jël di jël Gambia yóbbu ko ci ECOWAS court bi mu gagné ko.
I think it cost us about $200,000 or $250,000.
lu dem ci ñaar téeméer ak juróom fukki junne dollar.
I think that should be to the account of Jammeh.
lu na fa nekk ci account ak Jammeh.
Which could have been avoided if due process was followed.
Exactly.
Here it is your testimony that the former Attorney General, Justice Jabate, took advantage of the system in also ensuring that his own personal agenda is fulfilled. That is the agenda of his former client or client. Was the man still his client while he was Attorney General? Because it's quite confusing.
Well, I mean, because the man didn't have any other lawyer, and the man relied on him.
I apologize, the translation. Me to repeat it?
Yes.
Okay, I'll do so. I said the scenario you just explained is quite confusing. Because the Attorney General at that time was the former lawyer of the man. And while he was Attorney General, he was still pursuing the interests of his former client. Which begs the question of whether he was still having control as his client's lawyer while serving as Attorney General.
Lolo tax nak may laajte ndax jamono yiñ ko falé def ko Attorney General ba légui mu ngi doon nekk lawyer clientam bobu.
Well, he definitely acted in a manner that suggests that he was still representing the client, because at that meeting there was nobody else representing Andre.
ci anam gi mu doon doxee mu ngi mel ni daal ba léegi rek moo toogaloon clientam boobu ndax ci meeting boobu amutoon kenn ku fa toogaloon clientam bi.
And he was negotiating on his behalf whilst wearing the cap of AG.
te moom it mu ngi jamono boobu mu ngi doon waxtaanee ci turam te boobu mu ngi sol mbaxanaam AG.
Which was also an abuse of his office as well.
Absolutely. I mean, the whole idea was to intimidate, because to intimidate Brian George and even Mr. Mene, because he didn't have a choice. He was sitting there as a lawyer, couldn't do anything about it. Then Brian George and Aliu Jallo, because I recall when that meeting was about to hold, I was called by this Aliu Bari. I said, there's no way I can participate in such a meeting, because this meeting shouldn't hold. And when after the meeting, he called me and told me, I have an audio. I said, audio of what? He said, I recorded everything. I said, what? Sorry. I said, you kidding me, excuse my language. He said, yes.
am na bañ ma njëkkee call pour ma teew si meeting ma ne man mënuma teew si façon meeting bu mel noonu.
So I'm like, wow, I'm like, that is very serious. He said, well, I'm actually going to take it to the British embassy, because both, I mean, Aliu is British national and Brian is German. I said, well, I mean, I'm like, this is too messy for me. I don't want to get involved in this, but just be careful. But then anyway, he sent me send me a copy to keep for safekeeping, which I did.
Yónnee na ma nag benn copy ci lim recordon gannaaw bu mu waxee ne daf ko yóbbu.
And when I listened to it, I could not believe my ears. I'm like,
bi ma dégloo nag mënuma gëm sax ne lii man dégg naa ko.
This is a really, really serious issue. Yeah. And it just boils down to the fact that the office of the Attorney General was misused both by the President and also by some of the Attorney Generals that served during his tenure.
Lolo mu ngi mel ni mbir mu doy waar nga wax nii de ndaxte dafa mel ni ki nga xam ne moo woon Attorney General daf ko doon wéeru ci li nga xam ne mooy doole bi mu doon jaay office am bi nga xam ne moom la jiite woon ci jamono jooju pour doxal loo xam ne dafa neex kilifa yi.
Can you kindly tell us when this case was going on? The case involving Judge Derek and...
Idris. Okay, can you...
dañu mëna wax ban jamono la case bi doon dox.
The case started around 2005.
Case bi nag mu ngi commencé ci boori atum 2005.
And up till 2010, I believe.
Ba ci jamono 2010 ci li ma yaakaar daal.
I mean, in fact, the case is still kind of going on.
Dafa mel sax case bi léegi mu ngi nekk di dox.
I mean, I'm sure there was this big issue on TV about people's houses being taken by this European. That's the case, and I think it's important we tell the truth, because for me, truth is no color. I mean, the guy owned the land, he bought it, he paid for it, and he was very generous to the community of Bijilo. He contributed in the mosque in Bijilo, he put his money there. And because he's a white man, they sold his land. And in this country, sometimes they think as long as the Tubab is involved, you can scam them and it's okay. And that's a very bad mentality. So people just jump into these issues as a white man versus a Gambian without looking at the facts.
lii na mbir la moo xam ne mu ngi mel ni rek ñu ngi seet ne tubaab la te kooku na defal na waa Bijilo yu bëri seen jumaa ji dugal na ci koparam te mujjee gi daal ñu yaakaar rek ne comme que tubaab la rek luñ ko def rek du mujjee fen.
And it is the lapses in the judicial system that actually fueled it up till today.
Léegi mooy gàllankoor gi nekk ci bunti àtte bi nga xam ne ba léegi moo faa dox.
Yeah, I mean, and in fact, there was a task force that was set up by Jame, extrajudicial task force. After the exhaustion of all legal avenues, we clearly affirmed that the owner is Banjo Dajdus. This task force came and decided that this land, we're going to give it to you Gambians. So those Gambians, they have land on an executive order, and they continue with building their mansions and their savings, whereas there's a court order that clearly states that this land belongs to somebody else.
Court bi nag lim dogaloon moo nekk ne tubaab bi moom kër googu mujjee gi nag yaa jàmme joxe order task force boo xam ne ñoo ñëw joxe ndigal ne yéen laan suuf si kon jox nañ ko Gambien ci ñoom ñu continuer di tabax jëlee nag amee doole jooju ci ndigal lu jóge koo ci moom.
And frankly, as a lawyer, I mean, when I saw Bad Judge being deported, I mean that's one of the most humiliating. I mean, as a lawyer, I felt like useless.
ci jamono boobu nag ma gis ne comme que lawyer la ma gis ne nag ko ñàkk njëriñ la gannaaw boo xamee ne gis naa ne suma client bi dal dinañ ko jël delloo ko réewam.
I felt like, what's the point of being a lawyer? I mean, if you can't help your clients.
ma xalaat ma ne lan mooy njëriñ ñi nekk lawyer bu fekkee ne mënoo dimbale sa client bi.
You have a judgment. It's like paper. You cannot enforce it.
mu ngi mel ni kay la rek doo ko mën a forcer.
And then there's no rule of law.
amul benn topp loi bu am.
And I mean, the ban judge died. I mean, I haven't been in touch with him for like more than 5 years, but I know that after he came back to enforce his judgment because we have a democracy.
jamono bi ñu amee na démocratie nii ci la ñëw pour jéem a lijjantiwaat atem.
Now he's able to enforce his rights.
léegi nag mu ngi ñëw pour forcer pour jéem a digal na yelleefam comme ni ko court dogale.
Thank you very much for that.
Yeah, I can email you the article. I just pulled it up.
We'll be grateful for that. Let's talk about, yesterday we discussed the tenure of Justice Ajim as Chief Justice.
Justice Ajim bam Chief Justice.
And you did mention that it was during his time that the judiciary sort of lost all its independence to the executive. Did this continue even after him?
Yes, I mean, Justice Ajim built a system.
Justice Ajim dafa fi defoon benn système boo xam ne nii.
And even when he left, his proteges were still in the system.
Ba bim fi jógee ko sa ndawam yi ñoom ñu ngi fi woon.
I mean, Fangbele. I think he was deputy DPP on the Ajim.
Moo nekkoon deputy DPP ci kanam Ajim.
I think you're better placed to confirm that. At some point, I think he was deputy DPP.
I think so. I was not there at that point.
DPP. So Fangbele's trajectory is almost similar to Ajim's, actually, if you think about it.
Daanaka daal mbiram mu ngi niroog bu Ajim rek.
Then he went to the High Court.
Mu dem ci High Court bi.
Court of Appeal.
Court of Appeal.
Fast track CJ.
Mu jégi mu nekk CJ Chief Justice.
For somebody who came here, I mean, with less than stellar credentials, end up being Chief Justice.
Koo xam ne ñëw na fi ci ay këy yoo xam ne sax ma neexee ma ne motut mu mujjee mu dem ba nekk CJ.
Only for one reason.
Ci benn mbir rek de.
Very malleable and pliant who can be used like rubber to do whatever the state wanted.
Di koo xam ne nii nag mun naa def lu nga xam ne loolu la nguur gi soxla rek.
That was his only value proposition.
Loolu rek moo nekkoon paasam bu wér.
And the signs were there before.
Te tamit mandarga yi ñu ngi fa woon. Balaa loolu.
Sorry.
Proceed, please.
Is it okay? Remember, it was the same Fagbele who tried to, when Mariam Denton Jack was released, the same Fagbele was the one who came to, for new charges in Monahan's court.
Moom men Fagbele boobu rek mooy jamono bi nga xamee ni bàyyi nañ Mariam Denton moo ñëwaat ak yeneen tuuma yu es.
Now, the same Fagbele now is from the prosecutor's side, now he's on the bench.
Léegi Fagbele nekkatu ci prosecutor side bi léegi mu ngi ci bench bi.
Same mindset.
Ci benn xalaat bi rek.
Just as a side, it looks like a lot of the people on the bench were prosecutors, so we have all these prosecutor-minded judges.
Ñoo nag ñu ci bari ay attekale fi nekk ni nag buñ nekkee ci attekaay bu mag bi di dogal ay court mu ngi mel ni benn yoon bi la rek.
They build their careers, molded their careers, prosecuting or persecuting with executive interference. Mentored by Ajim.
Liñ daan doxee rek mooy li nga xam ne nii mooy uyu ndigal lu jógee ci kaw di loo xam ne li ko sos mooy Ajim.
You mentioned executive interference. Can you please elaborate on that with respect to the judiciary?
Wax nga njiiti réew mi lim daan dugal gémmiñam ci wàlli atte bi ndax di nga mën a gën a leeral loolu.
I think judicial appointments were, even though the power to appoint judges is the JSC, Judicial Service Commission. They recommend candidates and the president appoints.
Buntu boobu nga xam ne mooy JSC ñoom nag ñoo daan ràññee ay nit pour ñu mun a nekk attekaay ci court bu kawe yi bu ko wee nag président bi dal di ko nangu.
And under the constitution, it's very clear.
The ron constitution di luwaay réew mi nag leer na fa ne.
The JSC.
Ne JSC bi.
Shall be independent.
ñoom nag dinañ nekk ñoo xam ne dañooy dox ak seen sago.
In discharging its duties, which means that.
Si jamono boo xamee ñu ngi doxal nag seen liggéey.
There cannot be any executive interference.
Te ñu wane ne daal amul benn lameñ woo xam ne jóge ko ca kaw.
When it comes to the work of the JSC.
Bu fekkee ne ñëw nañ ci luwaay JSC liggéeyam.
But what actually happens is that.
Li fi gën a fës nag mooy.
People who lobby to be judges at State House.
ñoom na ñu bari dañuy jéem a lijjanti pour nekk judge ca State House.
Or those who are close to the president will recommend people who think that will cut the mold.
Wala ñi nga xam ne ni ñoo jege président bi dañ ko ràññee ay nit ñoo xam ne ni dañ doxee.
You just mentioned something quite significant.
Wax nga fi léegi dana lu am solo nag.
You said people will lobby to be judges.
Yes.
How did you know that people lobbied to be judges, and if you know who are these people that were lobbying to be judges?
I'm privy to several instances where people have lobbied at the highest level to be judges.
Dama daan yëg nag yenn yu bari yoo xam ne nii am na ñoo xam ne daal ñu ngi ko daan lijjanti.
But I don't think, some of these people are sitting judges.
Am na ñoo xam ne nii ay judge yu toog lañ ci jamono bi.
For the respect of the dignity of the office,
ci cër bi nga xam ne jox naa ko darajaay office ba.
I will refrain from mentioning names.
Duma tudd ay tur.
I don't think it will do anybody any good to mention their names at this point.
Du baax na pour nag ñu tudd seen tur ci jamono bii.
But I will tell you something.
waaye danaa la waxal nag benn mbir.
As we speak today,
ni ñuy waxee nii tey.
there are people who lobbied to be judges.
ñi nga xam ne ñoo doon lijjanti pour nekk ay judge.
Through State House, the current State House.
jaaree ko nag ca State House.
And our current judges.
ñi nekk ay judge léegi.
The practice still continued even after Jammeh's error. And as a seasoned legal practitioner, can you tell us the dangers associated with individuals lobbying to be judges instead of being identified under the JS to be judges?
I think I want to take you back. I think one needs to understand
the
importance of an independent judiciary.
The independent judiciary
An independent judiciary plays an important role ensuring we have the required checks and balances between the different arms of government. Because it is only the judiciary that can tell anyone, I mean anyone, including the president, parliament, what is law, what is not law, what is constitutional, it's a very powerful role. That kind of responsibility, remember, they are not elected, appointed. So they have to extol the highest virtue. Just like how we choose our imams or pastors. They have to be the paragon of virtue. They have to be principled. Under no circumstances their independence will be compromised. That is aside from being competent. So it's not any job. It's a calling. And if we had a more independent judiciary, it would have made it harder for the dictatorship to last, I mean, as long as it did, or to have that impact it did on us. So, for people to now lobby, wanting to be a judge, it's not about getting a paycheck. It's not about a salary. In advanced jurisdiction, people take a pay cut to be a judge. Because the caliber of people who can be judges would definitely make more money as private practitioners. There's no doubt about that. But when people start lobbying for judges to be a judge, that is problematic.
In essence, you're saying that a weakened judiciary will be equal to a weakened democracy.
A weak judiciary would mean that you cannot speak of the rule of law. Who upholds the rule of law? Strong, independent judiciary. Supported by a strong, independent bar. Because you cannot have an independent bench without an independent bar.
Mënuloo am nag buntu àttekaay boo xam ne nii dox na ak sagoom te amuloo lawyer yu dox ak seen sago.
Because every judge is a lawyer, first and foremost.
Àttekat boo gis nag lawyer la.
And it is us lawyers who go to court and, a judge cannot bring a case on their own.
Xam nga judge bi moom mënut a indil boppam case-am.
It's lawyers who argue cases before the judges.
Lawyer nag ñoo indi case yooyu ci judge bi.
I mean, no matter how much injustice there is, the judge cannot show a motor or decide the issue.
Nu munti mel daal judge mënut a dogal nag loolu.
Thank you very much for that. That was quite educative.
I would recommend a paper
danaa ràññee benn kayit
presented at the judicial. We had a stakeholder workshop early this year.
dañ am nag workshop ni ki si at mi fan njëkk ci at mi.
And Justice Mame Yacine Sy.
Justice Mame Yacine Sy
delivered an excellent paper.
daal dina fa àggale kayit bu wér.
On the independence of the judiciary.
Lu jëm nag ci independence judiciary bi di dox ak sago.
I will submit to you by email if you don't mind. I have it.
naa la ko àggale nag jaarale ko ci email.
We will appreciate that. Let's just discuss some of the excesses that prevailed during the tenure of Justice Fagbele as Chief Justice of the Gambia.
nañu wax nag mbiri ëppal yi nga xam ne Justice Fagbele mu ngi ko doon def jamono bi mu nekkee Chief Justice bu Gambia.
I mean, Justice Fagbele took it to the lowest of the low. Unlike Ajim was crafty, he was clever, he was sinister, but he knew how to operate in the background.
Ajim nag nekk na ni koo xam ne ni dafa muusoon te xam na naka la daan yëngatoo.
I think obviously he had more capacity than Fagbele.
Yaakaar naa daal moo gënoon a ëpp xam-xam ni Fagbele.
Fagbele was openly partisan.
Fagbele nag moom ñëpp a ko ràññee ci ban boor la far.
I recall there was when Jammeh decided to pull Gambia out of the Commonwealth.
maa ngi fàttaliku jamono bi nga xamee Jammeh mu ngi doon fexee génnee Gambia ci mbootaayu Commonwealth bi.
There was a big march that was organized at Makati Square, I think.
amoon na march bu am doole boo xam ne nii ñu ngi ko oote woon na ci Makati Square.
And Fagbele, bought Ashobi.
Fagbele nag ci la jënd ay Ashobi.
Judiciary.
Pour judiciary.
I think sent a memo.
mu dal di bind nag benn memo.
Directing judges and judicial staff to adorn in Ashobi and goes and show solidarity.
Pour nag ñoom ñëpp ñu génn wane seen kóllëre ak Jammeh.
I hope if
you're telling us that sitting Chief Justice of the Gambia.
yaa ñoo wax ne Chief Justice bi toogoon jamono jooju fii ci réew mi.
Wrote a memo.
dafa bind kayit.
Asking his judges
and
judicial staff
to
adorn themselves in clothes that are affiliated with the ruling party. And go show solidarity to the president.
He himself has worn T-shirts with Jammeh's picture with a cap as Chief Justice.
Moom si boppam sol na T-shirt boo xam ne ni mu ngi am nataali Yaaya Jammeh ak mbaxanaam.
When Jammeh was coming back from the tour,
bu Jammeh daan jóge ko ci tour bi,
he rallied some staff and stood outside and was waving frantically out there.
mu dajale ay ñenn ci liggéeykaayam di ekkati ay loxoom.
I sincerely hope
ma yaakaar ne
this commission ensures
danañu gis ne
the judiciary,
buntu attekaay bi,
not only judges but some of the staff,
nekkul judge ak ñuy liggéey ci ñu ñëw fii ci commission bi.
We're talking about the truth.
Pour ñu fekkee ñu ngi wax dëgg.
We cannot sugarcoat the truth.
mënuñoo rafetal dëgg gi rek.
The judiciary should come.
Judiciary bi foog si ñu ñëw.
People who've been there for a very long time. They should come.
ñi nga xam ne yàggoon nañ fa ñu wax dëgg bi fii.
What happened in the judiciary?
ñu wax lan moo daan am ci judiciary bi.
What I'm telling you is the footnotes.
li ma la wax ni loolu mooy dëgg gi.
I think it's very important for the judiciary to come.
yaakaar naa lu am solo la pour judiciary bi ñëw.
The stories.
pour nag ñu nettali li nga xam ne loolu lañ xam.
And I mean, something else that, I mean, during the 2016, towards the end of the regime.
Ci boori 2016 jëm ci jamono njeexteel nguuram.
When you had when Solo Sandeng, may Solo rest in peace, when he lost his life, and
jamono bi Solo Sandeng dee yal na ko Yàlla yërëm.
There were protests. There was a protest. Mr. Dabo and his executive were arrested and charged.
Am na ñaxtu boo xam ne Mr. Dabo defoon na ko ak ay nitam ñu dal di leen jàpp charge leen.
Then the women also were also arrested and charged. So there were three or four different cases going.
Ay jigéen yi ñu jàppalante leen am muy ñetti xaaj daal yoo xam ne di ay case la woon.
One of the, I think it was the case of one of the women group.
benn ci mbootaayu jigéen yi.
I think they were protesting around Kanifing or so.
ñu ngi doon di ñaxtoo boori Kanifing.
Fagbele assigned the case to Mansa Konko.
Fagbele dal di jël case mbir moom àggali ko Mansa Konko.
Took the case from that happened in KM.
loolu mu ngi amee ci KM ci Kombo.
To Mansa Konko because he wanted to frustrate the lawyers. Even he knew it would be hard to get lawyers to go to Mansa Konko. Also, just to make it difficult for coordination.
loolu yëpp pour jafeloo mbir mi rek.
And I'm informed by one of the councils, Mr. Gay, who I think you have to make sure he comes here.
waxal na ma itamit kenn ci council di Mr. Gay koo xam ne war nañ ko indi fii.
They were told that it's a trap.
yow nag dañ ko def ne fiit la woon.
You guys get up and go to Mansa Konko, something bad will happen to you.
boo jógee pour dem Mansa Konko lu ñaaw dana la dal.
It was the same Fagbele.
ci tamit loolu yëpp xalaati Fagbele la.
You recall after December 1st.
gannaaw benn fan ci weeri December.
I think December 2nd, the election results were announced.
bés bi ñu yëbaanee results yi.
I think around the 9th or so, Jammeh decided he changed his mind, basically saying that okay, the elections were flawed.
ci kaw loolu na ci la Jammeh wecciwaat xelam ne daal vote bi dañ ko sàccoon.
And then they filed this lawsuit.
ci la dal di indi nag lu mooy àtte.
I think it was Gaba Jahumpa.
Gaba Jahumpa.
No, sorry, no. Bala Gaba Jahumpa.
Bala Gaba Jahumpa.
Sidi Njai.
Sidi Njai.
The affidavit, filed affidavit.
ñoom ñoo bind affidavit.
Claiming that there were votes that were stolen and the rest of it.
ne am na carte yoo xam ne dañ ko sàccoon ak yeneen.
Supreme Court was not empaneled for almost, I don't know, 12 to 18 months. We didn't have a Supreme Court. They didn't want
Supreme Court bi na amul lu dem si fukki weer ak ñaar bi fukki weer ak juróom-ñett.
Suddenly, Fagbele activates, tries to get judges to come.
Fagbele na ci lay lijjanti pour indi ay judge ñu ñëw.
With Jammeh and the AG.
ci diggante Jammeh ak AG bi.
Who was the Attorney General at that time?
Jamono boobu kana nekkoon Attorney General.
Mama Fatima Singate.
time boobu Mama Fatima Singate la woon.
And Fagbele was in cahoots with the Attorney General in trying to bring in judges that will hear this petition from the APRC.
Fagbele dafa manko woon ak ka nga xam ne moon AG ba bu ko defee ñu mën a indi ay àtte.
There was a single judge. Fagbele was a single judge. He had the first hearing was before him.
àtte bu njëkk bi mu ngi woon ci kanamam.
I think it was lawyer Gomez.
yaakaar naa lawyer Gomez.
I think Ibrahima Diallo, young lawyer.
Ibrahima Diallo lawyer bu ndaw.
They were the team at the time.
ñoom ñoo nekkoon kuréel gi ci waxtu woowu.
And I must admit, because at the time I was in a different mindset.
foog si man nag boobu maa ngi ci beneen xalaat.
And I called all the senior lawyers I know. I'm like, I called Mr. Drame, I called Mr. Mene, I called the top. I said, don't take this case.
ci la oo nag ñoom nag ñu bari ne leen daal bu leen jël case bi.
We as a bar, we don't recognize this court because Jammeh has lost legitimacy. As far as we are concerned, there's no Supreme Court.
amuñ Supreme Court.
We will not have a Supreme Court now just for Jammeh's sake.
mënuñ ko am rek ndek Yaya Jammeh.
And of course, all those lawyers said, well, we're not interested. And I understand that Mr. Gomez was forced to take the case.
te tamit am naa yaakaar Mr. Gomez dañ ko forcé woon pour mu jël case bi.
He was actually called in by General Baji.
General Baji moo ko oo.
And he was told, because at the time he had a retainer with APRC.
ndax boobu nag mu ngi amoon tey ak APRC.
He was called in and told you're going to do the case, and he was paid some money and said go do the case.
boobu nag ci lañ ko oon jox ko fay ko xaalis ne ko demal ci case bi.
He went home and they gave him four paramilitaries following him all the time.
bi mu demee nag ci lañ ko ebal ak ñeenti paramilitaires ñu koy topp waxtu wu ne.
Just to cut a long story short, I was one of the guys who actually helped him escape Gambia.
pour wàññi waxtaan wi rek man bokk naa ci ñi nga xam ne ñoo ko dimbale pour mu rëcc.
At some point, I engaged him, and I engaged him through his son.
yenn jamono laal ci laa jokkoo moom jaaree ko ci doomam.
And I thought one of the ways we can frustrate this Jammeh's case is by, if his lawyer is not around, then one, to make sure the judges doesn't come, which I'll explain what we did about that. Two, if we make sure that his lawyer is not around, that would pose problems for him, because not many lawyers were willing to do the case.
ni ñuy war a def rek pour nax saay nag mbiram mooy fexe rek ne lawyer am bi daal du teew.
So at this time I was on exile in Dakar, but I'm just saying it here for now.
jamono boobu nag maa ngi daw may làqu ji Dakar.
So I was staying at my uncle's house in Dakar, and Edward Gomez's son was friends with my cousin. So I was like, I need to speak to your dad.
time boobu nag maa ngi Sénégal si.
He called him, and I asked him, I said, I don't think you should do this case. He said, I don't have a choice.
ci laa ko wax ne ko waruloo def kii mu ne awma lu ma cee def.
I told him, we can take you out of the country. He said, please do.
ci laa ko wax ne mun nañu laa génne ci réew mi mu ne def ngir yàlla def leen ko.
Through Fatou Camara.
jaaree si Fatou Camara.
Fatou Network.
Fatou Network.
I got the contact of Kerr, who was the foreign minister.
ci laa jot nag nomba Kerr nga xam ne ni moo nekkoon ministre bi saytu doxalin bitim réew.
Then through him we are connected with the Gambian embassy.
ci noonu nag ñu jokkoo ak embassy bu Gambia.
And we were able to organize.
fexe ba.
The extraction of Edward Gomez.
génne Edward Gomez.
Out of the Gambia.
mu génn Gambia.
What was, we've already received testimony about the role of the bar from Mr. Salieu Taal during this impasse period. We've heard testimony about the statement that the bar made that also gave rise to a lot of associations coming out to condemn Jammeh's hold on power after losing elections. You've also told us about the role of the bar in preventing more judges from coming in to hear the Supreme Court petition against the election. What other role did the bar play during this period?
I would like to dilate into those points so that we can get into the facts and the context. The Gambia Bar Association.
Gambia Bar Association gannaaw buñ bëggee na pour ñu wax lu jëm ci mbir moomu.
Played a catalytic role.
dal di nañu def na aw wàll.
In ensuring that.
pour gis ne.
The voice of the Gambian people is respected.
li kàddu yi Gambien ci daal nañ ko ciral.
By making that statement on the 14th of December.
ti joxe nag ay kàddu nag ci fukki fan ak ñeent ci weeri December.
Actually, I have a picture.
am naa fi benn nataal.
I think it's good for history to record, to keep it.
mooy nag loo xam ne ni dana doon taarix pour ñu del di ko denc.
This is what happened.
lii moo xew.
I was not part of the executive. I had left the executive. I resigned.
bokkuma woon ci executive bi boo génn naa ci.
But there was a notice for an AGM to appoint a president.
moo nekkoon nag jamono boo xam ne AGM pour nañu tànn président.
I have a copy of that which I will exhibit.
am naa fay benn boo xam ne dinaa ko mën a tëddal.
I will tender rather. So I called Aziz Bensouda.
ci laa oo Aziz Bensouda.
Who I must say is an outstandingly brave lawyer.
koo xam ne ni nag danaa wax ni daal lawyer bu ñeme la.
Who really is one of, for me, he's played an outstanding role.
Koo xam ne ni nag def na wàlla mu yaatu yi tamit.
Behind the scenes.
Ci gannaaw mbir mi.
So, and I know he's an action man, so I called him. I said, Aziz.
Xam naa ne nag borom taxawaay la woon ci laa ko oo ne ko Aziz.
We've been here in this Gambia for a long time, not doing much.
yaa ngi woon fii ci réewi Gambia ci diir bu yàgg te defoo dara.
To do our bit.
Léegi na jot na pour Gambia ñu def dara.
So I told him that this meeting that is supposed to be on the 13th.
Meeting bi nga xam ne ñu ngi ko war a def ni ko fukki fan ak ñett ci weer yi.
We have to have an emergency meeting.
Nañ ko def léegi nañ def na meeting bu jàmp.
And he said, yeah, you're right.
Ci la wax ne waaw.
He said, okay, let me organize a small sort of group, strategy group.
Naa jeex nag benn groupe boo xam ne ni pexe la rek lañ ko sampé.
I will take, he took the presidential villa at Coco Ocean because it's a bit discreet.
Ñu jël na presidential villa bi ci Coco Ocean.
So the Gambia Bar Association executive at the time.
Gambia Bar Association seen kilifa yi ci waxtu woowu.
Myself.
Man ci suma boppa.
And Justice, well, Zainab Jawara Alami, who's now Justice.
Zainab Jawara Alami, nga xam ne léegi Justice la.
Omar
Ndiaye.
Rachel Mendy.
Sheriff Tambedou. Abdoulaye Sissoko.
Musa Bacheli. Yasin Senghor. Aziz Bensouda. I believe Nene Cham as well.
Nene Cham daal yaakaar naa.
So we met.
Ñu tase.
We all agreed that we have to do something.
ñëpp ñu ànd ne dañ war a def dara.
So we strategized.
ñu def ay pexe.
We said that we have to issue a statement, a very strongly worded statement.
dañ war a génne na benn kàddu bu am doole.
Really condemning Jammeh's action as treasonous.
Di ŋàjji nag jéego Jammeh ne la loolu suufu nguur la.
Which we agreed.
Lii nag ci lañ ànd.
I have the emails and everything.
maa ngi am email yi.
And the text messages and the WhatsApp messages, which I'll print and share with you later on.
Text message yeeg kàddu yi ñu jàllale ci WhatsApp bi.
A drafting committee was constituted.
Committee la boo xam ne ñu ngi ko boole ci.
Yasin Senghor, Aziz Bensouda. So that's how the statement was drafted.
Noonu lañ ko jagalee.
So the idea was you draft the statement.
Xalaat bi moo nekkoon pour ñu def idea.
We didn't want to get into debates because we didn't have time. He said, look, this is the statement and this is what we're going to read.
Bëgguñoo na nekk di dàggante jamono jooju ndax amuñ waxtu wi.
We said, let's invite everyone to this meeting.
Ci lañ wax ne nañ oo ñëpp ci meeting bi.
When we come there, we'll pass a resolution.
Buñ ñëwee danañ àggale nag suñu xalaat.
And one of the items would be issuing this statement.
Benn na ci xalaat bi dana bokk na pour génnee kàddu bataaxel bi.
So that's what we did. So we went to the hall.
Loolu lañ def ñu dem ci hall bi.
So we actually, I was tasked to invite the press.
Man nag sasoon nañ ma pour na ma oo nag press bi.
At that time, I was in contact with a lot of people I know in the press, including even foreign press. And because the Kerr Hotel was around the corner, so there was a lot of international press. So we called them, all of them. We said, we'll devise to have a meeting on the 14th at Coco Ocean. So a lot of people came.
ñu bari nag ñëw.
I mean, like Mr. Tambedou explained, I mean, we
didn't
have
a president.
So he was, I mean, appointed as interim leader.
And
I mean, we had a few discussions. Some people felt it was too hard. Some people felt it was not. But we just said, look, we've already drafted this, so there's nothing that you're going to change. This is what it is. It's too late in the day to start dragging your feet. It's either you're in or you're out. So Mr. Tambedou was unanimously appointed as interim president.
Mr. Tambedou interim president.
Maybe you can ask the camera to zoom onto this.
Zoom ko mu gën ko leral.
So and it culminated into, this was the day. Yeah, that was the memorable day. So these are all the brave lawyers who turned up and took a risk.
lii mooy nataal ba bés boobu ñi mooy lawyer yi nga xam ne nii jaayoon nañ seen bakkan ñëw keroog.
Some of them were even government lawyers.
am na ñoo xam ne sax lawyer yi nguur gi
Some of
lañ.
them were judges.
am na ñoo xam ne nii ay attekat lañ.
The pictures.
lii mooy
Some of
nataal
them were lawyers who lived abroad.
ay lawyer yoo xam ne sax ci bitim réew lañ nekk.
In solidarity.
pour wane nag seen kóllëre.
Stood together.
ñu ànd benn taxawaay.
And told Jammeh.
ñu ànd wax Jammeh.
If you stay one day after is it 19th?
boo toogee beneen fan bu weesu fukki fan ak juróom-ñeent.
You'll be committing treason.
dafa mel ni yaa ngi suufu nguur.
And I think with humility.
ci ak yar.
That was what emboldened Gambians. When Gambians finally saw that their lawyers are bold enough to take this step.
loolu nag moo ñemeloo Gambien yu bari biñ gisee ne seen lawyer yaa ngi jël ay jéego.
If the lawyers are in front of us,
ñu gis ne bu fekkee lawyer yi ñu ngi ci suñ kanam ñun kon day nekk ci seen
and
gannaaw.
that day and week, every single organization, from the Bad Watchers organization, from those who sell Get a Chaff, you name it, every group or grouping.
Group bu nekk rek.
Even the Chamber of Commerce, which is private sector, I was a member of the board.
Chamber of Commerce sax.
We issued a statement.
dal dina ànd indi ab kayitam.
And I think for the first time, Jammeh saw that Gambians are standing up to you. Gambians across the spectrum, across business, age demographic, everyone said no.
Indeed, that statement by the bar united the whole of the Gambia in fighting for their freedom against tyranny.
dafa mel ni lawyer yi daal ñoo tax ba waa Gambie yépp dal di bootu ci seen gannaaw pour xeex li nga xam ne mooy seen yelleef.
This will be a convenient time to stop because we are already way past the break time, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Councillor, and thank you, Mr. Taal. We will take a 30 minutes coffee break and come back at 12:30. Thank you. Meeting is adjourned.
When we touch down, better broke down.
Gamtel G-Fiber, now you can enjoy super fast internet in gigabytes. G-Fiber is affordable, stable, secured, and accessible to homes, businesses, and enterprises. With Gamtel G-Fiber, the future is speed. Gamtel, creating a brighter future in communication.
That's so she became mine and see that.
For all your pastry, bakery, and quality food, CK Restaurant is the only place to be. We do catering for birthdays, weddings, and all related services. We have all kinds of local foods, American, European, and even beyond. Come and have a taste of our local juice, ebe, and other services. At CK Restaurant, customer satisfaction is our priority.
Love like fire. Wow. Love like fire.
ngeen fan la skincare la 2020 lañ wax de waaw fii nag mooy Kerr fan Kerr zero tache perfect skincare saa su ne rek niñ ko dee defee rek loo lañ soxlaati rek maanaam bu ngeen am problème ci seen skin yéen xam ngeen fan la fii ngeen di ñëw suma xarit yeeg am di jàmm yi nga xam ne taas daf lañ sonaloon xam nga doon xeesal ba laka xum éneew ma lañ ko nag waaye just in case comme ni ko gars yi di waxee rek en cas just in case loolu xew xam ngeen fi ngeen di ñëw fii ngeen di ñëw skincare plus si yu baax rek la ñoo dox nag ay baax rek fu ne la ñoo dem ci réew mi di lañ indi rek nag products yu baax du Paris du Italie du USA du fi mu nekk nii sax boole nañ ci nag Sweden fu nekk lañ leen a indilee products bu dee tamit nag da nga ñuul rek ñu lay jamaa natural beauty that melanin dripping we do have stuff for you as well emuñ si skincare products rek ñu ngi ci cuub yi tamit fu ne la ñoo jaar in fact sax last commercial bi ñu defoon waxuñ leen woon ne dañoo dox ci ay kawar 9A grade rek nag waaw we do have bundles as well hair si lu ne la ñoo dox ñun ñu ngi ci rafetal jigéen rek luy taaral jigéen rek waaw boo leen di tukki tamit bëggoon rek classic suitcase ñu dañoo dox ci ay Samsonite duñ dee indi any brand of suitcases though other than Samsonite comme li ma dee wax rek boo eggee airport dëri Samsonite dafa am nuñ laa xoolee waaw ngeen ne lan nag waaw skin ci moom la ñu gën a xamee nag skin care products ci moom la ñu gën a xamee ñu ngi dox tamit bentey tamit si ay dàll man waaye man nag skin care mooy suma specialty xam nga rek jigéen bu sa xar kanam réglé loo def mu jag am nañ Patricia Reiner Kiwi Eye the whole range Lighten Up Gold Tomatine I mean the list can just go on and on and on and on lépp loo xam ne rek luy taaral jigéen la ci yooyu rek la ñoo dox skin care plus nag emuñ si Gambia rek ñu nga United States ñu ngi Gambia fii ba pare bu dee yaa ngi anywhere in Europe mun nañ la ko mail within 3 days rek ñetti fan rek nga jot say diw emuñ si loolu rek dañ laa consult tamit balaa ñu laa jaay diw dinañ def a free consultation pour wax la rek exactly li nga xam ne moo méngoo ak sa kanam dinañ leen wax tamit ne rek am nañ perfumes you know fragrances men's shirts accessories we do dresses as well we do blouses I mean we do shoes name it we do them Skincare Plus 2020 is our year of perfection zero task fi mu nekk nii réew mi fii kenn waratu fi taas kenn waratu fi am problème kanam kenn waratu fi am problème yu picca boo ko amee dafa fekk ne rek ñëwuloo ci place bi fii. Love like fire. Bring my love like fire.
When we touch down, better broke down.
Gamtel G Fiber, now you can enjoy super fast internet in gigabytes. G Fiber is affordable, stable, secured, and accessible to homes, businesses, and enterprises. With Gamtel G Fiber, the future is speed. Gamtel, creating a brighter future in communication.
So she became mine.